Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News. You're with me, Cyrilla Fonseca. Before we head into our stories, first we'll take a look at headlines.
Speaker draws attention of this committee over bombing statements made by a group of MPs, including Wimal Veerawangsa. Unemployed graduates in North Central Province launch hunger strike. Zimbabwe's incoming leader Emmerson Mnangagwa hails new and unfolding democracy.
Speaker of Parliament Karu Jayasuriya says action will be taken through the Committee of Privileges against the three members of the opposition, including MP Wimal Veerawangsa, who had made a statement about hurling a bomb at the Parliament.
The Speaker made this statement today when Parliament convened for the third reading of the budget. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya was responding to questions raised by Deputy Minister Ajit P. Pereira about measures the Parliament will take on this matter.
Several protests were staged in a number of locations across the country today.
Unemployed graduates from the North Central Province launched a protest at the DS Senanayaka roundabout in Anuradhapura demanding employment opportunities. According to the protesters, officials have not taken any steps to provide job opportunities for many people who have passed the teaching exams. Meanwhile, teaching assistants currently undergoing training at the Kotagala Hatton Training Centre launched a demonstration along the Hatton-Nore-Elia main road. The protesters demanded confirmation of employment and the allowances that were promised to them. The protesters further said they have obtained all the qualifications to be appointed as teachers. However, the appointments have still not been made. As a result, they are working for a nominal salary of 10,000 rupees. A group of people obstructed the vehicular movement along the Kandy Mahayangane road and staged a protest demanding the road between Hunnaskirya and Mimure to be reconstructed as it is in a dilapidated condition. People from 12 Grama Seva divisions took part in the protest. Another protest was staged by parents of students studying at the Mihinda Primary School in Matugama, expressing displeasure regarding the transfer of the school principal.
A walking path was declared open today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
The walking path has been constructed from Olghat Mavatha to DR Vijayvarthana Mavatha. A group including Minister of Mega Police and Western Development, partly Champika Ranavaka, were presented for the occasion.
The Ministry of Mega Police and Western Development has entered into an agreement with a South Korean organization to create a Colombo-based light rail system. Work on this project is scheduled to commence in 2018.
We have identified 7 corridors and we have reached an agreement on 2 of them. One goes through Malabe, Battaramulla, Burala to Peta, while the other goes from Battaramulla to Fort. Once we finalize the contractor, work on the project will commence next year. Based on the feasibility studies that we have conducted, we will be able to call for international tenders by mid-next year. If we succeed in this endeavour, it will revolutionize transport over the next 5 years. Today, there is a great deal of time and fuel wasted due to traffic. Around 1 billion rupees goes to waste on a daily basis due to traffic.
The Dry Zone Urban Water and Sanitation Project, which is being constructed for the relief of the people of the Northern Province, has entered its final stages.
The project is being constructed in Peraru, Vavuniya at a cost of 5,800 million rupees funded by the Asian Development Bank. 15,000 families in the Vavuniya district are expected to benefit from the project. While there are a large number of reports of chronic kidney diseases among people in Vavuniya, the project aims to fulfill water requirements of the district. Vavuniya District Secretary MBR Pushpakumar paid a visit to inspect the progress of the project.
This project started in August 2013 and was expected to be completed by 2016. As of today, almost all work has been completed. We will be unable to provide water to the entire area within the course of this year. However, we are expecting to provide water to cover at least 9 Grama Seva divisions before the end of this year.
His Holiness Pope Francis has named Auxiliary Bishop Fidelis Lionel Emmanuel Fernando as the new Bishop of the Diocese of Mena.
Bishop Fernando will transfer from the Archdiocese of Colombo to replace retired Bishop Joseph Kingsley Swami Pillai, who was the administrator of the diocese from January 2016. On February 11, 2012, Fidelis Lionel Emmanuel Fernando was ordained as an auxiliary bishop of Colombo, the office he held till date. Bishop Fidelis Lionel Emmanuel Fernando was born on the 20th of May 1948 in Jaffna. On the 6th of January 1973, he was ordained a priest by the Holy Father Pope Paul VI in Rome, along with 38 priests from 19 countries on the solemn occasion of the 350th anniversary of the Congregation of Evangelization of People. In 1987, he proceeded to the United States and earned a doctorate in moral theology from the Catholic University, Washington, D.C.
An international symposium titled Urban Resilience Building Inclusive and Competitive Cities Amidst Disaster was held in Colombo yesterday. The symposium was organized by the Asian Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management, Sri Lanka, or APAD-SL.
The event saw the attendance of a distinguished gathering including government ministers, diplomats, members of the security forces and senior officials of APAD. The search and rescue team of APAD-SL was also launched at the symposium.
Colombo is now one of the fastest growing centers of the country. So the more cities become congested, the more population density rise, the risk to disaster increases. So we have to be ready here in Colombo particularly how and discuss and think and be prepared to have an inclusive and competitive city.
It's necessary to change the way we invest. We need to focus not only on addressing the consequences of disasters, but more importantly on reducing the underlying causes of vulnerabilities and enhancing the preparedness and resilience of people, communities and systems. The enhancing capabilities of our armed forces is one of the key areas that we are very much keen to see, because they are taking the full brunt of any such eventuality, given context is more fragile than ever due to climatic changes and unplanned urban development, which we have witnessed during last few years.
We've seen floods that took away hundreds of lives. The floods in Colonna, the floods down south in Gaul and Matra, and we've seen how quickly, in just a matter of a couple of hours even, that we can see such massive disaster in terms of built areas being completely destroyed. If you really go down to the bottom of it and consider why, you will see that a lot of the time these homes that have been built on places where they ought not to have been built. So you have to really address that issue, not from a disaster mitigation point of view, but from a good governance point of view. We understand that disasters must be avoided. Some we can't, so we have to mitigate them, and if and when they happen, we have to manage them. And we have to be prepared.
Between 1970 and 2016, Asia and the Pacific lost US dollars 1.3 trillion in assets due to natural disasters. The damage is steadily on the rise. A study on future impacts for the period 2020 to 2030 suggests that beyond measuring human costs, the Asia-Pacific region could account to 40% of the global economic losses resulting from natural disasters in the years to come. If governments are to protect their most vulnerable people, they must ensure that national development strategies are firmly grounded in disaster resilience.
At a panel discussion, Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited, Sivan Daniel, spoke on the role of media in urban resilience, lessons learned from disasters experienced in Sri Lanka. Lakshman Jayasekara, Project Director of the Western Region Megapolis Master Plan Project, Anuja Senviratna, Director of Mitigation, Research and Development Division of the Disaster Management Centre, and Masataka Uo, Director of Planning and Coordination of the Asia-Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management, Japan, were some of the other eminent panellists at the symposium.
The Ministry of Finance and Mass Media has entered into 2 loan agreements with the Asian Development Bank.
One agreement the ministry entered into is to borrow $150 million for the development of 3,400 kilometers of rural roadways. The others for $200 million for the implementation of a 100 megawatt wind power generation project in Mannar. A statement reads, the implementation of wind power generation project will support the government's objective of achieving 20% of the total power generation through non-conventional power generation by 2020. It says wind park infrastructure will be developed, including wind parks, internal minimum voltage infrastructure, internal cable and access roads. The total investment cost of this project is $256.7 million, of which $200 million will be provided by ADB as a direct loan to the CEB under a treasury guarantee. A balance $56.7 million will be financed by the CEB.
It is 2 years since members' nations endorsed the Sustainable Development Goals 2030. Today, Newsfirst is the only broadcaster from Sri Lanka attending the 6th Responsible Business Forum on Sustainable Development in Singapore.
40 countries are represented by 900 delegates and speakers from the business community, NGOs, investors and the UN.
Sri Lanka is amongst hundreds of nations to sign up for the implementation of the SDGs. Today I met with the Assistant Secretary General for the Regional Bureau Asia and Pacific UNDP, Mr. Howling Chu, and I asked him how he felt Sri Lanka was progressing with the implementation of these SDGs.
Yeah, I think Sri Lanka has achieved a lot, in its course of development. Sri Lanka has been the example of social development, a model, for many countries. Consistent investment in social sector, despite relatively low income, has produced the kind of social outcomes that many countries, are hoping to achieve, right? But at the same time, there are challenges, right? Because without structural changes in the economy, it is very difficult for Sri Lanka to achieve, the upper middle income country status, for example, right? So we needed to deal with the structural reforms the country. I think the government will recognize that, right?